What's going on, everybody? It's Thursday, which means book club day. And I really would love to talk more about the book that I just finished, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait until Saturday because I think this is more of an RPG review because the book that I just finished a couple days ago was a full read of D&D Into the Borderlands. This is one of the original adventures reincarnated by Goodman Games. It is essentially In Search of the Unknown and The Keep of the Borderlands, B1 and B2 from the old D&D, OD&D days. And I am so happy that I've read through this thing, and I thought it was awesome. And I thought it was so awesome that I'm not going to talk about it today. Nope, this gets a review. This gets a Saturday, a shelfy Saturday review. We're going to wait. Instead, today we're going to discuss a few books I have in my collection that are some of my favorite books in my collection. And if you saw the cover picture to this vlog, you know that I've got in my hand right now, I have 3 of the Dungeons and Dragons Choose Your Own Adventure books. These are called the Endless Quest books. I have book 1, Dungeon of Dread, in my hand. Book 4, Return to Brookmere, and book 13, Dragon of Doom. All of these are by Rose Estes, and guess what? I have more of these, but let me turn off my email there. No beeps. I have more of these to talk about in the future, perhaps, but these are the 3 that I've read recently. What I did with these, and this was something we did during the early days of the pandemic, was on Sundays, I would crack one of these open. Not every Sunday. I only have 3 in my hand, right? On every so often, I would crack one of these open, and I would read it aloud to Cooper, and Jen would be there. So my wife Jen, and sometimes either my parents or my mother-in-law would jump on to a Zoom, and they'd listen in on one of these. I can't remember which one they participated in. I think it was Dungeon of Dread. That was the one they had a real hard time with. But if you don't know what these are, back in the 80s, these were TSR books that came out that were essentially, it was a choose your own adventure novel, or story. They are not long reads. I mean, these things are something that if you're going to read it aloud, it's about an hour, maybe an hour and 20 minutes. Depends on how many bad endings you get. And what I loved about these books when I read them to Cooper was I was able to remember like my experiences reading these as a kid. I remember I had Dragon of Doom. I remember reading this in the car and getting a little car sick reading this. These 2 I did not have, but so I was so excited to grab these. I got all of these as a bundle at Half Price Books in Pittsburgh 10 years ago. And I let them sit on my shelf for a really long time before reading them. When I was a kid, I would pick these up, and I really did enjoy imagining I was this character going through these quests. And whenever I hit a tough spot, it hurt. And I really felt it. I felt whenever I died in these books, I felt it like as if it was my own character. I read these especially during the early 90s when I had just gotten into Dungeons and Dragons. I want to say that the first one I read, I probably didn't know what D&D was yet. I'm almost 100% sure that's the case. And these books were so instrumental to me just getting into fantasy when I was a kid. The backs of them are awesome. Like when you read these, they just make you want to read them. The first one, Dungeon of Dread. You are Carrick, a brave knight in a world where dragons roam. Can you solve the mystery of the Dungeon of Dread? In Return to Brookmere, you are Brian, an elven fighter on a scouting mission for your father, the king. Can you destroy the monsters that invaded Brookmere, your family castle? And then my favorite of this bunch, the evil magic user Zed has used a powerful forbidden spell to summon forth the mighty Shen, the dreaded black dragon of doom. Unless you can do something to stop him, Zed will turn Shen loose on the world to spread death and destruction wherever he goes. I love this one because the character was Morgan, who was a magic user. And when I was a kid, when I had first gotten to D&D, so I'm like, 12 years old, I loved magic users. I've said before, my first character was Kid Wizard, the magic user. And I had a spell book that I did myself. I had a blank composition book, just one of those like white and black composition books. And I turned it into a spell book, and I copied out of the old D&D basic set. every spell, I would just, at the top of the page, I would write down the spell name, and then I would do squiggly lines as if the spell was written out, and I would put symbols and stuff. So when we would play in the woods behind my house, and we would all take on, my friends and I, my brother would take on different characters. I was always the wizard. I was always the magic user, and I'd have this book as if that was my. And maybe I'd have a Nerf something in my hand also. It was a little before. I think I had a knife. Yes, because that's right. It was a dagger, because wizards, magic users can only carry daggers. I had a dagger. It was just a replica of a Rambo knife, so probably not the most authentic wizardly dagger. But anyway, in Dragon of Doom, you are Morgan, and you have this really cool pseudo dragon named Hinoki that's on your shoulder as you're reading it. I mean, these are written in I believe in the second person, so it's all about what you are doing, and which is just fantastic. I love it. Sitting down on a large rock, you perch Hinoki on your knees and touch his head to your own. Slowly you calm your heartbeat and breathe in and out with the pseudo-dragon as you look into the gold depths of his eyes. And you've got some cool illustrations in there. What was funny when I read these to Cooper was that since he is a role player, I mean, he's 11 years old now, and he's been playing role-playing games for years, I at first did not think that he would get too into these. I mean, I read them to him, and I thought, well, he's going to enjoy them a little bit, but that's about it. He really got into them. He really liked them. And what was funny was how he wanted to change what he was doing as if it was an RPG. He wanted to change his action. He like, well, I don't want to just go through the door. I want a different action. And it's like, now, Cooper, it's not D&D. It's not Dungeon Crawl Classics. It's not Fantasy Age. He plays... I say D&D, but he plays DCC and Fantasy Age, typically. It's not DCC or Fantasy Age. You cannot choose what you're doing next from your own list. You have to do one of these. And that was a tough one for him. I know that I'm not going to spoil any of these. They all have... look, the plots are not the strongest. They're a little stereotypical. They're a little, what you would expect from, it's a little bit of what you would expect maybe from, the Caves of Chaos in here. Some of the cliche, these created the cliche, and so did these. Dungeon of Dread, I believe that's the one that he got through on the first try. Return to Brookmere, he had a hard time with this one. We all did. We had other people listening in with us as we read, and we all had a challenge with Return to Brookmere. There's a few times that we didn't end things right. Dragon of Doom was awesome. We got the best ending right off the bat. Very memorable. And the next one we have, I didn't even show it yet, is Circus of Fear, which I hope to be reading in the next few weeks. But anyway, if you can get your hands on these, I know they're hard to find, I think. Maybe you can get them at a used bookstore. Keep an eye out for them. They're definitely worth it. They're definitely worth the read. If you can find them in great condition, you are a lucky person. Wow, $2 was the original cover price on these. That's crazy. What were they written? Let me see here. Let's see. Cover art for this is by Larry Elmore. And interior by Timothy Truman. Interior art, 1982 is the first printing. That's awesome. These are like the early days of our hobby. So, if you can get your hands on these Endless Quest books, go ahead and do so. You are going to love them. That's all I have. So tomorrow is going to be an open topic day. In the comments below, if you have some ideas you want to toss out about tomorrow's topic, hit me up. I'll be checking them out over the next 24 hours or so before I go into tomorrow. Well, I guess I only have a few hours till tomorrow, like 6 hours till tomorrow. You get the drift. But put some topic ideas in the comments. Alternatively, if you've enjoyed these books also, let us know which ones you have. I have a few others. I have, I think, Villains of Volturnus, which is one of the ones that was for Star Frontiers. I have a Crystal Cave one, I think. And I also have Circus of Fear. And I have a Conan one that's from TSR, which maybe I'll do a little review on that after we finish that one. So I'll talk more about these when I get some more read. But as for Return to Brookmere and Dungeon of Dread and Dragon of Doom, worth every penny, even if you're spending a bit more than $2. All All right, take care, everyone. Play nice, kiddos, and I will see you tomorrow.